A very good evening to all of you. So today again, we have come here to discuss the next aphorisms of the Organon. So we have done till 120 aphorism, and we are in the aphorisms of provings. Again, like I always say that there are certain guidelines regarding the different processes of the homeopathy. So proving is again one of the processes of the homeopathy by which we learn the action of the medicine, what kind of power, what kind of peculiar power each medicine basically has in its own. So that is a very important part of the homeopathic practice, understanding the materia medica, understanding the power of the medicine, understanding the pathogenetic powers of the medicines. Because until and unless we don't know that, we cannot apply that knowledge to cure the patients. So today we'll start from 121. 121. In proving medicines to ascertain their effects on the healthy body, it must be borne in mind that the strong heroic substances, as they are termed, are liable, even in small doses, to produce changes in the health even of robust persons. So the substances, heroic substances means the substances which are coming from the narcotic family. Those substances, even in the smallest of the doses, because there are some substances which have great power in them to affect the health of a human being. And then there are substances which have power, but it is very less. But still, they affect the health of the human being in their own peculiar way. So, among them, heroic substances, the narcotic substances, are those substances which, even if taken in a very small dose, can basically produce the changes in the health of even a robust person, of a very strong, healthy person. Those of milder power must be given for these experiments in more considerable quantities. So when we are conducting these experiments, we have to give them in a very mild power in order to observe the action of the very weakest. However, the subjects of the experiments should be persons free from disease, who are delicate, irritable, and sensitive. But to see the action of these substances or any other substance also, the prover, the experimenter on which the experiment is being held, he should be basically a very delicate person, irritable and sensitive. Like we were talking last time about the susceptibility of the person. So when we are sensitive, we are susceptible also. We are strongly susceptible. The more a person is sensitive, the more strongly susceptible he is. So when a person is having that kind of susceptibility, he becomes a very uh, important person for the proving, because even the substances which have very weak this medicinal powers, like we talked about the idiosyncrasy, even these people, they can give strong good symptoms of those very small powered medicinal substances. So in these experiments, on which depends the exactitude of the whole medical art and the weal of all future generations. So this is a thing which is given by Dr. Hahnemann, the importance to these provings, that the exactitude, the perfection of the whole medical art basically depends upon these experiments, the weal of the future generations of mankind. Weal means something which can heal the future generations. No other medicines should be employed except such as are perfectly well known and of whose purity, genuineness, and energy we are thoroughly assured. So, whenever we are giving these medicines during the experiments, during the provings, we should be known, we should know the quality of those remedies. For example, if we are using the plant remedies, we should be very careful. We should know that which genus it is, which what kind of species it is, what is the characteristic of the plant, and whether it is coming from a very genuine source, the purity of the mixture which is made, the purity of the sorry, not mixture, but the purity of the dilution which is made, we should be very well and perfectly known about it, what kind of energy see, there is a very beautiful word used in this thing, is the energy, whose purity, genuineness and energy we are thoroughly assured. Okay, purity and genuineness, we can understand that it should come from a very pure source, the species or something. If we are using the phosphorus, then that should be a very pure and genuine part. But what about the energy? Anything which we use either as a food item, either we use in our surroundings, you plant something, you keep something in your room, in your surroundings, they all have certain kind of energies. For example, I'm just giving you an example. For example, when you're feeling very thirsty and you have taken a glass of water, you feel relieved. There is a feeling inside that we are relieved. But when you are not thirstless, you have had good water, and after 5 minutes you again drink a glass of water, right? Then you will not feel the same relief. The relief will not be there. Okay, uh, it might not produce any kind of effect, or it can produce an adverse effect. For example, you might find that I should not have taken this glass of water. Now I'm not feeling good. So the situations in which these things are kept, what kind of soil, what kind of part of the world we are getting these sources, the purity and genuineness and the energy, basically energy is something which we can feel. Energy is not something which we can see. Energy is not something which we can have a we can look at or we can hear of it. It is something which is to be felt. So the feeling that kind of thing gives is very important. That is why during the provings, if you go to the provings, in most of the remedies it is listed that the prover felt this after taking the first dose, felt this after taking the second dose, or felt this thing after 8 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours, he felt this thing. This feeling is very important to understand. Even while going through the materia medica, the remedies, even in our patients, these feelings are very important. So even when we are doing these provings, why I'm talking about this thing is that the whole homeopathy is basically based on dynamism. Until and unless we know the dynamic character of these remedies, we will not be able to get the complete knowledge of the medicines. Even in the case taking, if we don't somewhere touch with the dynamic part, the dynamicity of the whole case, we will not be able to understand the case fully. So we also have to come or try to come at that level where we can feel the energy, where we can feel the patient, where we can feel the flow of the case, that it is going in a good direction. Many times, when the remedy comes, you don't know until the medicine is given, we are not sure that whether the medicine is right or wrong. But then there are some times, when the case is going good, you're getting the some symptoms and everything is, you have this feeling, that you have got a very right remedy, that this is a very right remedy, and you give that remedy, and the patient also starts getting better, and in an excellent way the patient starts getting better, that you don't have to rethink the remedy again. So the more closer we go to the case on the energy part, the more closer we go with the materia medica on the energy part, we become part of these things, because this whole concept, this whole organon, this whole homeopathy is basically based on the dynamism. So until and unless we connect to the dynamic part of the homeopathy, we will always feel, that okay, we are getting the results, we are, the patients are getting better in a way, but something is missing, because we are just talking about the homeopathy or feeling about the, or sorry, uh, seeing about the homeopathy on a more superficial level, on the more material level. We are trying to understand, we are trying to learn the concepts, we are trying to learn homeopathy, but we are not connecting with it. So this connection is very important. So 123, each of these medicines must be taken in a perfectly simple, unadulterated form. So all the medicines which we are going to prove, which we are going to experiment with, they should be taken in simple forms and unadulterated forms. The indigenous plants in the form of freshly expressed juice. If there is some indigenous plant, indigenous means we can have it freshly from our garden or from the market or from somewhere, we can have it freshly because it belongs to that part where you are proving it. So you can just get the freshly expressed juice, you can crush it, get the juice, mix it with little alcohol to prevent it from spoiling. Then the exotic vegetables, exotic means which are not indigenous, which are coming from the outside, from long parts, it takes 2 3 4 5 days that they reach to you. Those exotic vegetable substances, however, in the form of powder or tincture prepared with alcohol when they were in the fresh state and afterwards mingled with a certain proportion of water. So when you get it, whatever the state there, you basically try to make the powder of it or tincture with the alcohol, and afterwards we can mix it with some proportion of the water and then take it. Salts and gums, however, should be dissolved in water just before being taken. So if you are going to experiment on some certain salts like natrum mure or some kind of gums, then just before taking, we have to dissolve it in the water. If the plant can only be procured in its dry state, and if its powers are naturally weak, in that case there may be used for the experiment an infusion of it made by cutting the herb into small pieces and pouring boiling water on it. So if the plant cannot be get in a very fresh state, we can only get it in a dry state, and the power, because there will come the aphorisms ahead after I think 240 or 250, where the whole process of how to extract the medicinal power is again given. These are just basic guidelines. So he there Dr. Hanuman will describe it in a more uh, detailed way, but I will just give a few this thing to the insight into this thing, that when it is in a dry state, because it is said that the more freshness is there in some vegetables or the plants remedy, the more power can be extracted. But still, if there is a dried vegetable which we have and we want to experiment on it, then we can extract the power of that by cutting it into small pieces, but not boiling it. Dr. Hanuman very clearly he will tell at that point that if when you boil the vegetable, the medicinal properties are gone. So not boiling it, but pouring a little boiled water on it, okay, so as to extract its medicinal parts. Immediately after its preparation, it must be swallowed whilst still warm. So immediately you have prepared it, we have to swallow it while it is warm. Don't wait it for getting cold. Again, the medicinal properties will be vanished. As all expressed vegetable juices and all aqueous infusions of herbs without the addition of spirit pass rapidly into fermentation and decomposition. Because if you don't add the alcohol part to it, you don't add the spirit to these vegetable juices or the infusions of the herbs, they very rapidly go into fermentation and decompositions, whereby all their medicinal properties are lost. That is why when you fry the onion or you boil the onion in a soup, that the taste of the onion is gone. The same effect which the raw onion can produce on a human being, bring out the tears and the coryza and this thing, when you boil it or you fry it, that power is gone. For these experiments, every medicinal substance must be employed quite alone and perfectly pure. So when we are going through these experiments, Whatever we are experimenting on, it should be employed alone, not with anything else. For example, you are doing something with the phosphorus, you are experimenting with the phosphorus, then the phosphorus should be employed in a purely perfect form. The preparation should be made in a purely perfect way, and it should be used alone, without the admixture of any foreign substance and without taking anything else of a medicinal nature the same day or yet on the subsequent days or during all the time we wish to observe the effects of the medicine. Very small details of what not to do Dr. Hahnemann has given in the Organon, so that a pure picture of what kind of action the medicine has, what kind of power the medicine has, can be understood. That even if when you're taking the medicine, don't take any other medicinal substance on that day or on the subsequent days or during the time we wish to observe the effects of the medicine. For example, I want to observe for 7 days. For 7 days, don't take anything medicinal. And the day you take something medicinal, by chance, you didn't remember it, stop observing the effects of the medicine. Otherwise, the picture will be intermingled. We will not be very sure. That is why he has used the word we wish to observe. So if you want to observe for 4 days, okay. After 4 days, you can have something. If you want to observe for 1 week, 10 days, then it. And in between, if you have taken something, then stop observing. Stop the experiment. Then don't write the details. Okay, this may be the part of the phosphorus or that may be the no. Then stop it. During all the time the experiment lasts, the diet must be strictly regulated. So diet is very important when the experiment is going on. Again, because of the same reason, it should be as much as possible destitute of spices. It should not contain any kind of thing which is spicy or any other kind of spices. Of a purely nutritious and simple character, green vegetable, roots, and all salads and herb soups, which even when most carefully prepared possess some disturbing medicinal qualities, they should be avoided. So the green vegetables, they should be avoided. Roots should be avoided. All salads and herb soups, they should be avoided. The drinks are to be those usually partaken of as little stimulating as possible. And even in drinking, take those drinks which are not stimulating at all. First footnote to Aphorism 125. Young green peas, green French beans, and in all cases carrots are allowable as the least medicinal vegetable. So he has also given that what you can have at that time. So young green peas, French beans, and carrots. These are basically have the least, even these things Dr. Hahnemann has said that they have medicinal properties, but they have the least, they don't disturb the action of a more stronger force. So these can be taken. The subject of experiment must either be not in the habit of taking pure wine, brandy, coffee, or tea, or he must have totally abstained for the considerable time previously from the use of these injurious beverages. So, first of all, we have to find a subject who is not in a habit of taking some wine, brandy, alcohol, coffee, or tea. But if someone is taking these things and he is adamant that I want to go into the experiment, then he should be abstained for a considerable time. Why? Because, for example, you drink tea. In India, we drink tea. In Thailand also, we have teas of different kinds. For example, there is someone who is in a habit of taking tea, like in the morning or in the evening or 2 times a day. For he starts experiment today and say, okay, I will not take tea today, and he takes the medicine. So now all these things, when we are in a habit of taking something, they have their withdrawal symptoms. Even the tea or coffee, if you don't have for 1 day, 2 day, 3 days, there will be some moderately intensified symptoms and something in the mood, something in the body. Many times the people who stop drink a lot of tea and they stop suddenly, they tend to have this problem with the bowels. The constipation happens. uh, they feel lethargic. there is a weakness in the body. Sometimes the headaches comes in. So if you take the medicine on the same day and these withdrawal symptoms come, then again we will be confusion. There will be confusion whether this is because of the withdrawal of that thing which the person was taking, or it is because of the medicine. So it is better that he must have totally abstained for a considerable time. Okay, considerable time. For example, if he has stopped tea for 10 days, 15 days, and all the withdrawal symptoms have come and gone, then he is ready for the experiment. Previously, from the use of these injurious beverages, some of which are stimulating, others medicinal. Some of these things can be stimulating, it stimulates the nervous system, it stimulates the body, or other can have the medicinal effect. So all those effects, until they wean off from the person's body, he is not an idle subject to conduct this experiment. The person who is proving the medicine must, during the whole time of the experiment, now that is with the diet, now with the mental regimen, the mental routine, how he should be, the person who is proving the medicine must, during the whole time of the experiment, avoid all overexertion of mind and body. He should not overexert his mind and body. All sorts of dissipation and disturbing passions. He has to avoid any kind of disturbing passion. If he has any kind of habits which he has, which can disturb the action or the understanding of the medicinal part, he should have no urgent business to distract his attention. He must devote himself to careful observation, self observation, and not be disturbed whilst so engaged. Because in the proving, when you have taken the medicine, you have to be with yourself all the time. That self observation is very much necessary. That is why the best prover can be physician. If he's in a healthy state, the aphorisms will come for that. But even if the other person, you are proving the medicine on some other people, then you have to tell them that you have to self observe, you have to be very careful. The subject which is going to prove the medicine has to be chosen very carefully. He should have this power to self observe, that what are the symptoms, sensations which I am feeling inside my body. And when he's doing that thing, when he should not be disturbed at all. So there should not be any distraction, any business distractions, any distraction of the work, any distraction of the house. So because if you are distracted, you cannot self observe. His body must be in what is for him a good state of health, and he must possess a sufficient amount of intelligence to be able to express and describe his sensations in accurate terms. And he must also possess a good intelligence so that he can describe what he is feeling, he can describe his symptoms. The medicines must be tested on both males and females in order also to reveal the alterations of health they produce in the sexual sphere. So the males and females, they both should be the subject of proving, because we have to understand the symptoms which are being produced in the reproductive organs, something with the menses, something with the desires, something with the male sexual sphere. So though that can only be done if we are giving the medicine to both males and females. Okay, this we will, because it is related to the next part. So we have to understand that there are certain ground principles to select a prover also, that what kind of prover should be there. The prover should be in a state of health, he should be in a state of strong, not very strong, but okay, good intellect, so that he can understand what we are trying to do, and who can devote himself, you know. So if I talk about the modern times, because I'm going to give a lecture in a conference in Brazil online lecture about homeopathy in modern times, that how we have to accommodate to use or to give homeopathy according to the modern times, as modern times, sorry. So to find such a person in modern time is, I think, it is very difficult. So okay, it is not that we that should stop us from proving. We have to do what is best. We have to find what is best. People are doing provings, we should also do the provings. But there are these principles of finding a prover, what kind of prover he should be, and how the proving is to be done, to understand what kind of powers or what kind of symptom. Because in proving, it is, like I was talking last time also, that in proving the whole process is happening in front of your eyes. The patient is telling his feeling, the symptoms are appearing, the pains are coming, the patient is narrating the pains in his own language. Right now we are translating, when we are studying in the materia medica, stitching pain. That stitching is an English word. That word will never be used in my language. If I'm living in Punjab, people are speaking Punjabi or Hindi, they will never use the word stitching. In Thailand, the patient will never use the word stitching. It has to be something else. In Brazil and Portuguese, the people, they will not use the word stitching. It has to be something in their language which they are speaking. So a homeopath has to be a translator also. He has to see that, okay, what kind of word from the English fits the word from the Hindi or the Punjabi, and where it is in the materia medica. So homeopath has many roles, many things he has to be. And for what? So that we can cure the patient. That is why Dr. Hahnemann has said that it is a very laborious work. The provings were done in German language, then translated to English, then we are understanding the English, and then we are trying to find it in our local language. So a lot of labor which we have to put into understanding the materia medica, understanding the patient, understanding the remedy which we have to give. And it is a good thing. It is a good thing, because once you start understanding that you have to, once you accept this part of homeopathy, that it is a laborious task and I will do it, then you have overcome a major obstacle in yourself, or in ourselves. We have overcome a major obstacle, that I am okay, ready to do the hard work for this thing. I am ready to do it. So once you have overcome this obstacle, because the major obstacle is that the mind and the body, we have been trained in a way, it is not our basic or innate character, but we have been trained in a way to do more things in less time, to do things very quickly. Now, the results should come very quickly. The first time that when the patient comes, he asks that, okay, how long do I have to take the medicine? Because he wants to get relief very quickly. Then there is a pressure on the physician to give a medicine very quickly, because he has to attend many patients. So this thing, to do things quickly, to this produces a kind of hurriedness in us, and anxiety in us, that we do some things which should not be done in the practice of homeopathy. We try to give medicine on one single symptom. Okay, the first impression, give this remedy. Those things come, but they should come with experience. I don't say that those things don't come, but they come with experience. I always tell the new students or the new people that you don't take, because when a person has seen someone for 5 minutes or talked with someone for 5 minutes and he has written a remedy, he has not given the remedy only on those parts which has seen. He has analyzed a lot of things, at least 100 things in those 5 minutes, which have come after 15 or 20 years of training. He might tell you, or she might tell you, that, okay, see the physical structure of the patient, that is why I am giving the medicine. But it is never this thing. This is what confuses the young students, and they say, okay, whenever I will see this kind of face, I will give the remedy and the patient will be well. It is never this thing. Don't go for that thing, don't fall for that thing. That person has accumulated the knowledge for past so many years that he or she has come to this stage that now they can give medicine in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and the patients are also getting well. I'm talking about that kind of scenario where the patients are also getting well, and not that giving the medicine in 5 and 10 minutes and then next time also changing the remedy, then next time also changing the remedy. Not that kind of practice. Because when you have seen thousands of patients, then you know what to look for. You have this thing, it comes to you that what you're looking for, and you go directly to that part, you know where to find it. But don't do it in the initial practices. Okay, so try to understand the basics, principles, how we have to go, and keep going slowly and slowly, keep going. Because to become fast we have to start slow. That is how we have to go. Keep reading, keep understanding every day. Go read some medicine, understand some symptom, understand some part of the materia medica, try to apply it on the patient. It's okay if it works, it is okay if it does not works. Come back, do it again. This mistakes in the practice are to be made. The more quickly you make the mistakes, the more quickly you will learn. Okay, so never be afraid of making the mistakes. And I think yesterday one of my students, she saw some patient, she gave some remedy to her, and the patient got better, the skin got better, but some other symptoms they got aggravated. So she was in a very this anxiety and this thing, that have I done the suppression? It, see, these things are not suppressions. This was already happening to the patient. This was already happening. But yes, you can understand that we have made a mistake and we can now learn from that mistake. That's where I have gone wrong, and I will try not to do that thing again. But don't stop there. Don't uh, when you are going for the next time, take a lesson from that experience, but don't keep the experience with you. This is a very important part. We do the opposite. We keep the experience but don't take the lesson from it. We keep the memory of that thing which has happened, that bad thing that has happened, but we don't learn from that bad thing, what was wrong that happened there. And because we have that memorized experience, we are always afraid of doing something in the future. For example, if someone went on the stage, he was the things were not coming to the mind, he was not able to speak properly, there was some confusion about what he is going to speak. Next time when he will go to the stage, or he is basically preparing to go on the stage, if he remembers that thing, then the same thing is going to happen. If he remembers that experience, he has to learn from that experience that I was not well prepared, I have not rehearsed, I was not at a mental this thing to give this, and I have to be prepared for it next time. I will prepare. I will not remember the experience. I will learn from the experience. These are two different things. People remember the experience, and they always keep on narrating the experience. And I went there and that bad thing happened, so I am afraid to do it again. They remember the experience. They didn't learn from it. That memorized part is the biggest mistake which we are doing. Once this thing happened, that is why I don't do that thing again. We have to go into a more deeper thing, that why it happened and how I can make it a learning. Okay, I have given the medicine, the skin symptoms are gone, and the other symptoms have become worse. So what is the learning there? That I have given a medicine which has more sphere of action of skin, and because of that I have given the medicine. I have not seen the other parts. I have not gone through the other parts of the case. The remedy which I have given is more anxious and grieved. The patient is more happy and energetic. This part is not matching in the medicine. So we have to understand it in that way. That okay, now I have learned that I have missed something, and in my future cases I will take all these things again. So this way you will forget the experience, but the learning will remain and the confidence will increase. Okay, so don't be these few things which I have told, because past few days I was talking with some students and there were some things which were coming, and I know this is a problem with commonly with all of us. So don't get amazed, try to understand those prescriptions, on small things. When a person is prescribing, don't get amazed by it. Don't have that wow feeling, but how a person would have reached there, that is important. With that, I will stop today's class here. Next time we will meet and we will talk about further aphorisms, further some things we will talk about. And if there are any questions, you are always welcome to ask those questions. We can go about them. Thank you, and have a very good night.